So dear students, in this lecture we are going to talk about three-level architecture which is developed by American National Standard Institute. Uh, in this lecture we will cover the purpose of three-level database architecture, contents of external, conceptual and internal levels, the purpose of external conceptual and conceptual to internal mapping, and the meaning of logical and physical data independence. Then we will talk about the distinction between DDL and DML. These are the two kind of languages. One is data definition language, another one is data manipulation language. Three-tier architecture was first introduced by American National Standard Institute. They produced three-tier architecture in 1975. Almost all the database today implements this architecture to some extent. So first of all, let us discuss about the objectives of three-level architecture. The very first objective is all users should be able to access the same data. Second objective is a user's view should be immune to changes made in others' view. For example, if we change the view of some manager, it should not affect the view of some supervisor or some other user. So this immunity should be there. So that's why three-level architecture has been designed. The third objective of designing three-level architecture is that users should not need to know the physical database storage details. So the point is very much clear that end user should not need to know the physical database storage, whether it is stored in the C drive or whether it is stored in the D drive, whether it is stored as track wise or sector wise. Whatever the details of physical storage, those details should not be need to know by the end user. Then the fourth objective is that database administrator should be able to change the database storage structure without affecting the user's view. So any kind of storage structure can be changed. You can change the data type of some variable, or you can change the structure of the database, you can change the ordering of the database. So whatever the change the DBA perform on the database, those changes should not affect the user's view. Then next point is internal structure of database should be unaffected by changes to physical aspect of the storage. So whatever the internal structure of database, number of columns, number of rows, the data type of those columns, so whatever the structure of that database, that should be unaffected by change to the physical aspect of the storage. Physical aspect means, for example, if we change the database from C drive to D drive, so that is the physical, we change the physical aspect of the storage. So that kind of changes should not affect the internal structure of the database. And finally, DBA should be able to change the conceptual structure of database without affecting all the users. So the conceptual structure of database, any change in the conceptual structure of database, that should not affect the end users. So all these are the objectives of three-level architecture. Based upon these objectives, ANSI Spark, ANSI Spark provide three-level architecture whose diagram is like this. At the bottom level we have a database, that is the physical storage of the database in the form of hard disk. So at the first level, internal level, which is called internal level, we have internal schema. Then we have at the second level conceptual schema, and at the third level we have external level. We have different views of all the users. We have number of users, user 1, 2, 3 up to n user can be there, and for every user we have a separate view. So that view is coming from the same conceptual schema, conceptual level schema. So here a new term arises, that is what is schema. Schema is basically a description of database. It's specified during the database design. So if you see a table like this where we have some columns and rows, and the column names are just given a alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H and I, and we can see some values in the rows. By just looking upon this table, something is missing. We cannot find out what the A is. So what are these values? What are the values that contained in the column A? What are the values that contained in the column D, E, F and so on. So by looking upon the values of column B and C, we can have some idea that these are the names of some person, but those persons are for what purpose they are here, we cannot explain this particular concept. So something is missing here, so that missing part is called metadata. So that is our data about data, metadata. So we have some missing information, and the information that need to be described, that need to describe this particular data, that kind of information is called metadata. So let's add some information here. So if I give some name to this particular table and I give the name to the column also, then I can figure out something, that this information is about some employees of the company, and the first column is the employee number, and the second and third column are the first name and last name, followed by date of birth, card number, education, department ID, evaluation, and current status. So by just providing the name of the column and by providing the name of the table, we have lot of information about this data, but still some information is missing. For example, in the education field, the values are 1 and 2. By just looking upon the values, we cannot find out what the 1 means and what the 2 means. In similar way, in eval column there are 2 dates, but what these dates are conveying to us, we cannot say anything about these things. So some more information is required. So we need much more metadata. So this is basically metadata, and we need a dictionary that is called data dictionary. So we store the data in the form of dictionary. This information is collectively known as dictionary, and for example, I say employee number, name of the column is employee number, its data type is integer, and these are the constant, whether it is null value can be there or not, so whether it is nullable or not. So this kind of information, this is called metadata. So this is the data about data. So this is data about your employee number. In the similar way, data about first name, data about last name, and so on. So this is the example of metadata, and this metadata, collection of this metadata is called data dictionary. So this is our data dictionary. We collect the data in the form of dictionary, and this dictionary is a part of your database management system. This table is stored into database management system itself, along with your own table, along with the table that contains the data. So this is extra table that are generated by database management system, and this extra table is called data dictionary. Then coming to schema, database schema is the definition that describes the entire configuration of the database. So it is basically the definition of the database. So definition that describes the entire configuration, that includes all of its table, that includes all of its relationships and indexes, and what are the constraints on this table, what are the data types of these variables. So everything is contained into the schema. So it is the definition of the configuration of the database. So it changes occasionally. Once it is created, you never need to change the schema. It is the framework into which the values are fitted. Frame remains same, values may change from time to time. Now if you see the data at the current time, then values may be somewhat different. After 5 minutes or 10 minutes, value may change from the database. So database frame will remain same, but the values from the database changes from time to time. So this is example of schema diagram. So it is a pictorial view of schema. In this schema, you can see we have 3 kind of tables: product, customer, and sales. And product table has 3 columns, customer table has 5 columns, sales table has 4 columns. So this is basically the diagrammatical view of this schema. Implementation point of view, a schema is defined in the form of structure, as you may be aware of the structure in C language. So first of all, you have to define the schema name, then you have to define the table's name. All these are the table name, which is represented by the value record. So record means these are the table names. So after that, you have to define the you have to define the field name. You can say column name. So product ID, for example, its data type is string, product description is string, unit cost is integer. So these are the attribute or the fields of the data item. So in this way you have to define the schema. So this is the description of the schema. Then coming to the next concept, that is instance. The data in the database at a particular moment of time is called instance or the database state. So instance or database state, these are the two different names of the same thing. So this point to the data at the particular moment of time. So also known as the state of the database. Some books also write it as a state of the database, or some books also write as a snapshot of the database. So all these are one and the same thing. So instance, database state, or snapshot. So these are all point to the same thing, that is instance may change after time. This is basically the values of the field at a particular moment of time. So if I am checking the values now, then it is one instance. If I am checking the values again after 5 minutes, then it will become second instance. So also instance may change after some time, and the schema is specified when database is defined. And at that time database state is empty. When the schema is defined, the state is empty because we have no data at that time. We have just defined the field of the database. When new data is populated or existing data changes, then we say that the state of database also changes. So state of the database depends upon the values of the data at that particular time. So when new data is populated or existing data changes, then the state of database also changes. Coming to three level architecture again. Three level architecture is divided into three levels. One of the level is external level. So in the external level, it is basically the user's view of the database. Whatever the user view, that view is the external level. It describes only that part of the database which is relevant to a particular user. For example, manager may not be need to see all the data. So we will display only the relevant data to the manager. In the similar way, supervisor also may not be need to see the all data. So we will display the supervisor only that data that is relevant to him. So we can describe the data into different views, and that views are called external level. So described by the user or application program. So these external levels are described by the end user, by the designer, or by some application program. Application program restrict the view to some user. Then multiple external views can exist because there are multiple users. So accordingly we can have multiple external views. Two different views can view the same data differently. Again, very important point, that for example our date field has different format. Date value can be displayed dd mm yy format, or it can be displayed in YY format. So the value is same, but it can be displayed differently. Then next is conceptual level, that is the second level. This is called conceptual level. In conceptual level, this is also known as the community view of the database. It describes what data is stored in database and the relationship among the data. So it is defined by the database administrator, and there is only one conceptual schema. The point to be noted, as opposite to the multiple external views can exist, but only one conceptual schema per database can exist in a single database. Then we have the last level, that is called internal level, which is a physical representation of the database on the computer. So it represents how the database is stored on a computer in the hard disk. It describes how the data is stored on the database. It describes the data structure, it describes the file structure, and it describes the access method. So everything is described in the internal level. This is a pictorial diagram that highlights the differences between three level of ANSI Spark architecture. So this is your external level, this is your conceptual level, it is your internal level. At the internal level, as you can see, my database is defined in the form of programming language, using some programming language. For example, here it is using C language, and a structure data is used for defining the structure staff, and all that fields are defined in the form of a variable name along with their data type. And this internal level, whatever we are describing at the internal level, at the conceptual level it is viewed by a single table. So at the conceptual level, we will view this particular data in the form of a table. That we have a staff number field, we have F name field, we have L name field. All the internal details are hidden at this particular level, and this is the view that is viewed by the end user. Now conceptual, from the same conceptual level, we can create multiple external levels, because for example here first external level can be for the manager and second external level can be for the supervisor. Manager may be able to see the serial number, first name, last name, age and salary, but on the other hand the supervisor is only able to see the staff number, last name and branch number. So this is the limited information that the supervisor can view, this is the limited information that the manager can view, and the whole information is coming from the same conceptual level table. So again from the same table. So this means from the same conceptual level we can have a multiple external views that can be created for different kind of users. Now based upon this all this, we have a concept of data independence. Data independence is basically the immunity of the application program to change in physical representation and access techniques. That means if we change the physical representation and access techniques of some database, then the application program should not be affected by this change. So it should be immune to all this change. That ability to change the schema at one level without having to change the schema at the next higher level. So this is the key point here, that if we change the schema at the lower level, it should not affect the change at the higher level. So we are considering only the higher level and we are not considering the lower level. So ability to change the schema at one level without having to change the schema at next higher level. So this is called data independence. So data independence, because we have only two levels, so accordingly we have two kind of data independence. One is physical data independence, which refers to the immunity of conceptual schema to changes in the internal schema. That means if we change the internal schema, the conceptual schema should not be affected by it. So internal schema changes, for example using different file organization, using different storage structures, using different devices to store the database. So this kind of changes, whatever we change at the internal level, these changes should not affect the conceptual schema. So should not require the change to the conceptual or the external schema. So the conceptual or external schema should be immune to all these changes. Then second kind of data independence is called logical data independence, which refers to immunity of external schemas to change in the conceptual schema. That means if we change in the conceptual schema in any way, that change should not affect the external schema in any way. So conceptual schema change, for example, it is combining the two entities into one or splitting the one table into two. So if we create two tables from the single table, or if we combine the two tables into one table, then all these changes should not affect the external view. External view should be able to see the data as before doing these changes. So it should not require the changes to external schema or rewrites of the application program. So if this happens, then we say that it is logical data independence. So this is a pictorial diagram that representing the data independence. As per the number of levels, we have only two kind of independence. One is physical independence, another one is logical independence. Physical independence means if we change at the internal level, that change should not affect the conceptual schema. Logical independence means if we change at the conceptual level, that change should not affect the external schemas. Whatever the change applied on these schemas, the change must be mapped somewhere. So we have two mapping programs. So external to conceptual mapping is there and conceptual to internal mapping is there. So whatever the changes we do, whatever the changes we applied on the conceptual schema, those changes will be consumed by a small program. That program is called external to conceptual mapping program. Similarly, if we change whatever the changes we perform at the internal schema level, those changes will be absorbed by a small program that is called conceptual internal mapping. So this program is responsible for consuming all the mapping. Due to this, our conceptual schema will not be affected. Similarly, this program consume all the changes at the conceptual level, so our external schema will not be affected. So mapping is important here. So mapping between the different database schemas allow for data independence. Due to this mapping only data independence can exist. So database management system is responsible for managing all these mapping and checking the schemas for consistency. So internal to conceptual mapping is there, external to conceptual mapping is there. So this mapping enables the DBMS to find the record within the database storage medium that correspond to the logical record in the conceptual schema. So whatever the changes we have done on the internal schema, those changes has to be mapped according to this according to the new changes. Those changes has to be included into the mapping table where they are pointing to the appropriate data. Similarly, external conceptual mapping enable the DBMS to match the names of the data item in the user's view with the parts of the conceptual schema that correspond to those items. So every mapping is consumed by the mapping program. So that's why we have the concept of data independence. That's why database management system is able to implement the database independence concept in on the databases. So that is all about 3-tier architecture. If you have some questions in mind, if you have some doubts in mind, then you can discuss with me at any time.